Hello, everybody. Welcome to May's edition of the Wild Portishead Show, live from North Somerset. Hello, Chris.
Hi, how are you, Jonathan?
I'm fine, thanks, Chris. A little bit chilly tonight. It's still waiting for the weather to warm up a bit.
Well, it has been reasonably good. I mean, beginning of the week and the weekend was very good weather indeed. I bombed up to Scotland on Monday, and that was gorgeous weather up there for one day. But as soon as I crossed the border, above the motorway gantry, well, it was the A road then, but it was still 3 lanes. It said yellow warning, rain. I thought, oh.
I tell you what I'm finding a bit weird, Chris, is that we are, what are we today? We're May the 23rd. We are less than a month away from the longest day of the year. And yet I don't think the evenings feel like they're getting lighter at the moment. You get to about 9 o'clock and it just suddenly goes, it's a bit dark again.
Yeah, and if you've got increased cloud cover, then clearly with the sun that low on the horizon by that time, and don't forget, in the summer it spends that last part of the day quite low down. Get a bit of cloud cover on that, and it can ruin your barbecues and your stay in the garden pub, so to speak. But it's the increased cloud cover is something that we covered last time, and I just think that we'll see some really good weather. You only have to look further south and you see what's going on there. You've got some pretty tremendous heat waves taking place at the moment around the globe. I mean, so much so that in one country, I think it was around Thailand, the government were just literally saying to people, just don't go out. It's just too hot. You're endangering your life. And that was unprecedented for even there. So some strange things happening, as they say.
Right, we've got a number of things to chat about tonight, including No Mo May, because I think we're both observing No Mo May this year, and we've got some quite interesting observations to make in my garden. But we'll come to that a bit later. So, Chris, where would you like to kick off tonight in terms of topics?
Entirely up to you. You choose one. Pick one out of the hat.
Shall we talk about hornets? They're in the news at the moment, aren't they?
I'm very worried.
Let's talk about hornets.
Well, basically, DEFRA have quite rightly put out a warning about Asian hornets, and let's be quite honest. The reason why is that this is a new hornet on the block, so to speak, and our bees and our hornet have had a long time of an arms race, so to speak. In terms of the arms race, it's pretty equal. But you bring this new thing in, and suddenly the balance tips dramatically. So you have the Asian hornet, which can literally wipe out hives quite quickly. And if you're a commercial beekeeper, it can be devastating, but also devastating for our much beleaguered bees in any case. So, anyway, that's the graphic, which comes from, it says there, the source BBC, that comes from DEFRA. See the Asian hornet, the difference there between the Asian hornet and our European hornet, which is our native. Now, I've seen some posts today. Wait for this, Jonathan. You're going to love this.
Go on.
Post today where it actually says the European hornet is not native because it says it's European. It had to come. No, this is the European hornet is our native hornet, and that's had this kind of relationship. There it is. There, beautiful. That's a picture from my own garden, and if you go back one, we'll do a comparison. So hold on that back picture. But no, go back.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, go back. Yeah.
Stay with that one. So basically, it's the one that's had the relationship with the bees. The arms race is pretty much equal between the two. So it's the Asian hornet, their extreme left. Now, the trouble is with illustrations, in the light, when you get out there, you can have variations to that. And so this is where I think the poor old European hornet, it's getting whacked, basically because of the fact that it's a hornet, it's big. In fact, the Asian hornet is slightly smaller than the European hornet, and I've heard reports that if the two are in the same area, the European hornet goes for it, literally, the Asian hornet. So what we've got to do, I think, is be extremely careful, because the European hornet is incredibly beneficial as an insect. It's a little bit like, I'm going to be quite controversial here and say it's as beneficial as the, wait for it, wasp. Why? Because it clears up a lot of debris.
Yep.
It is a major, and it's more of a predator than, for example, the wasp, because it can take much bigger prey items.
Yes.
Now, in Germany, for example, the German government have recognized this, and they've slapped a protection order on the European hornet, and that's quite deliberate, because they've calculated the effect of the removal of the European hornet from arable farms, because of the amount of natural pests that it clears up from an arable farm. So it's an incredibly important species, and it's a pollinator as well. Now, I'm not saying that the Asian hornet doesn't do any of those things. It does, and that would be the thing that's being missed out from the information. So you've got, at the moment, you've got a lot of people who are being quite sensible and sending pictures to DEFRA and saying, is this it? Is this not it? Blah, blah, blah. And then you've got other people which are taking the matter into their own hands. So this again is the another one of my pictures. This is the European hornet here acting as a pollinator on ivy flower. So at the moment, the queens, the European hornet's status within the year, so to speak, the queens are at the moment starting to build their nests. So what a lot of people have been saying is they've had a big hornet coming in the house, or they've had a big hornet going past them. That's more than likely the queens. And what they're doing is just establishing themselves now. So the Asian hornet will be doing exactly the same thing. And so if you go back to our identification picture, what you can see there is quite a dramatic difference between the first impression between the European hornet and the Asian hornet. The Asian hornet appears much darker. It has a much darker face in that particular picture. And the other thing to point out is the copper effect on the back there of the European hornet can fade with time, so it can start to look darker itself. But a clue will be the abdomen there, and you can see you've got the yellow bands at the back there, and you've got predominantly black bands there. So it's clearer in that picture. That's a fairly fresh hornet there. And you can see it's kind of wasp-like, much bigger, and that beautiful copper color there throughout the midsection and the legs as well. So yeah, this is incredibly beneficial. If you've got a garden and you're producing food, for example, or you've got an allotment, you want these things around. They will take bees, but they're not stripping out hives completely. That's not what they do. They can't do it because honeybees, for example, have got a major defense against the European hornet, and that is what they do is they ball them. So they'll entice individuals into the nest, and those will normally be the hornet scouts. So the hornet scouts go out looking for food. Then what the honeybees will do is stop that scout going back to the nest to tell everybody, basically, come and get your honeybees here. So what they'll do is ball them, and you'll have the entire honeybee hive completely balling one of these hornets, raising its body temperature to such an extent that it literally is completely suffocated and asphyxiated. Basically, it's dead. And so they stop it going back. Now, they can't do that with the Asian hornet because it's originated in a different country. If you go back to where the Asian hornet comes from, the bees there have got a defense against it, but our bees yet won't have caught up with it. So there's a comparison there between the Asian hornet, the European hornet. You then have the common wasp, size by size comparison there with the honeybee. And I just think we've got to be very careful because we run the risk here of really damaging our insect system by the removal of the European hornet. So carry on to the next picture.
Well, I was going to say, Chris, because at the moment our you know our insects are already in crisis anyway. The last thing we need is for people to just be people mistaking the European hornet, seeing a large, wasp-like creature,
Yep.
thinking, oh, that's got to be the Asian hornet because it's huge and it's scary looking. And then before you know it, we're losing the European hornets.
Yeah, and it can happen really quickly because at this time of the year, you've got queens establishing. So basically, if you kill a queen at this time of the year, that's it. You are literally wiping out an entire generation of hornets.
Yeah.
So we've got. I think what DEFRA have put out is fair enough, but it's the interpretation on the ground, so to speak. And I think if people are in doubt, then just contact somebody who you think will know, or contact your local beekeeper. Beekeepers are incredibly knowledgeable people, and they will obviously they will not like hornets or wasps because of what they do in any case, but it's the Asian hornet they know they've got to be really careful of. So if you have a look at this picture here, your first impression, because it does hum when it goes past you, is that this is another hornet. It's actually not. It's a lunar hornet moth. How about that? That's from my garden. Particularly likes birch trees. And so, there's lots of other things which look like hornets, and you have lots of these mimics around. And they're completely docile. There's no sting with them at all. You even have the mimic hornet hoverfly, which is a huge hoverfly. And again, when you first see it, you jump. You go, "Whoa, it's a hornet!" And it's designed deliberately that way. So there's many things which can look like hornets that aren't actually hornets. And I've got to say something about the stings. The stings on the European hornet, the Asian hornet, are quite formidable, to say the least. But in the case, I'm not sure about the Asian hornet, but in the case of the European hornets, they're incredibly docile. They do not want to sting you. And I have filmed many European hornets nests and actually stuck a bare hand in the nest to stick a GoPro in the middle of the nest with them literally watching me. So my hand is actually inside the nest, bare hand. Don't ask me to do that with a European wasp nest, but the hornets are so docile, providing you're not out to destroy them or to destroy the nest. They're not interested in attacking. They're more interested in defending if they have to, and it's a last resort with them.
The next pic we've got there. What have we got there, Chris?
That's the wasp.
All right.
Comparison. So that's just a straight comparison there to the wasp. So it's a much smaller animal, but of course this time of year, the wasps are just starting their nests off as well, and those normally start off with like little chandeliers hanging from sheds and things like that, or from inside hollows in trees or inside bird boxes. And, from there, it grows into probably a half-size football by the time they're completely full with workers. But again, a lot of people. We had the situation in my own garden a few years ago, where you've got two little children running around, and you've got a wasp nest in your garden. And of course, wasps can be incredibly aggressive if you go near the nest or disturb it even slightly, completely different to the hornet. And we ummed and ahed about what to do with them because of the danger to the children. Well, we've got European hornets as well, and they sorted it out for us. So European hornets will not tolerate wasps nesting anywhere near them because they're a threat to their larvae. So one day I went out the garden, and on the path were literally hundreds of heads of wasps. And that is a classic attack from a hornet.
Good grief. That's grim.
It's grim. It's grim.
Yep. Also, the classic thing to tell the difference between for people who don't know their wasps from their bees is you can see in that picture there the incredibly tiny waist that wasps have. Bees tend to be a bit more chubby in that regard, but you can see on that picture there, it's tiny, isn't it? That kind of abdomen area.
Yeah, and there's even though it's a pollinator, there's no pollen collectors there, so it's not like a honeybee, for example.
Yeah. So there we go, folks. Perhaps what we might do is put together an illustration showing the bee and the wasp mimics as well, because that might be helpful for people. But yeah,
and if you're on Facebook, I mean, please do send in. Everybody's got phones, so take a picture and send those into us, and we'll do some IDs. We could even do a survey. We could make ourselves, if you like, a little bit of citizen science into an Asian hornet alert zone, so to speak, so that we anything that moves, we'll report it to DEFRA, and they can come and sort it out if they are still doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talking of which, I'm just going to go and show people that we have a public page now. So because it's just the way Facebook did things, you used to have like a Facebook page or a group, then they split things into two things. So it's Facebook pages and Facebook groups. So the only people who can really post to a Facebook page, original content, are the page owners. So we've set up the Portishead Wildlife Action Group public page. So there is a link on our main page. You'll know the difference because this is the one that's got the picture of the frog or the toad emerging from my pond there. So yeah, if you go and have a look, we've got 92 members on there at the moment who have been posting original content. So here we go. Paul Welton today posted a video of the cygnets that got a little bit stranded down the lake grounds. Okay. And we've also, there we go. And we've also had Patrick Heaton Armstrong has been posting pics to do with our reens. And Dave White, an absolutely phenomenal wildlife photographer, he's been sharing a lot of his pics. There we go. There's one of Dave's pics of a fledged long-tailed tit. So you can come onto this page and share your pictures, videos, stories. You can post original content there. So there we go. So if you go to either our Facebook page, there is a link there to our Facebook public group as well. So there we go. A little bit of admin there, Chris.
No, and it's, what is it, 93 members?
We've got 93 on the public page at the moment, but I'm sure
everybody watching this, please spread it around like crazy. And again, when we're talking about wildlife, and we're talking about a town and the surrounding areas as well. Yeah. So what we need is people to keep their eyes open, and the only way we can do that is funnel the information into that public space. Yeah. And if we need to do something at any time, we'll do it. And of course, the other plea would be that if you are interested in what Wild Portishead is all about, for goodness sake, we don't hold a membership scheme yet, but come and join us. Come and help us run this. At the moment, it's the Jonathan and Chris Club, and we don't want it to be like that. We want it to expand so that it becomes something far more efficient than it is at the moment, that can basically raise the alarm and represent the environment and the natural environment surrounding us. So, goodness sake, get involved, please. Yeah,
so I will. You can contact us at wildportishead@gmail.com, or you can ping us on either of the Facebook, the page or the Facebook group. But we will try and tighten up our admin at the moment, because it's something that I've let slip a little bit. And I've let slip because of what happened in the last year, really. So we will try and get on top of that now, because especially doing these monthly shows, these almost monthly shows, I think we're starting to get a little bit of momentum as well.
Well, I think we should actually do more of these shows on the run up to Independence Day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We should, because there's something really important happening on July the 4th, and that's the general election. I really said that last bit wrong then. And what I think we should be doing is asking the prospective parliamentary candidates what they feel about the natural environment. And I think what we should be doing is asking them onto our show.
I did think that the other day about, can we get... Yeah, but leave that with us, folks. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can swing. Also,
if there's interest in the audience of doing that, let us know, so that when we invite these people on, now we're not going to, obviously we do this remotely, so it's going to be fairly easy for them. All they got to do is lift up their laptops and plug in or use their phones, and they can join us. But if there's interest in us actually questioning our parliamentary prospective candidates on matters to do with the natural environment in particular, what they're going to bring to the show, so to speak, then let us know. We'll apply some very friendly pressure.
We'll see what we can do. Absolutely. Dave White says, thanks for the compliment about photos posted on the group. More coming soon. No, absolutely, Dave. And in fact, I'd like to have Dave on the show to talk about photography, and just a bit like we did the other week with the trail cam setup, is just something where we can just break photography down so that, you know, people who want to take wildlife photographs, if they want to know about what lenses they may need or stuff like that, just a basic setup, you know, of something with a decent telephoto lens, and, you know, things like that. But yeah, I'll have a word with Dave, because it would be good to have him on the show talking about photography. So right, Chris, shall we tackle another thorny issue? And I use the word thorny in an ironic sense, because you've got this photograph that you sent me.
That's from last year, yes.
Yeah, of wild poppies. Absolutely brilliant. Fabulous pollinating plants. Good for us, because we see them and they just make us smile inside, don't they?
No, major lift.
How are they doing this year, Chris?
Next picture. Yes. We've had the sprayers around, unfortunately, and I wasn't here to stop them this year. And we've had reports today that other areas have been sprayed.
Yep.
So what I'm going to have to do is, you and I went to a meeting, didn't we?
We did.
And excuse me whilst I fumble around. Yes, you and I went to a meeting, and what we've asked of before of Portishead Town Council is to reduce the amount of weed killer that happens. Now, one of the things that, if you go back to the poppy picture again, so one of the things that was originally said to me about why it needs to be done is that these plants actually trip people up. Now, if you were walking that close to the wall, I'm sorry, you're going to go in any case. So, but the poppies don't last. These poppies don't last very long, and there's a number of other plants along the side of there as well. And I raised this on the last show as well, that, for example, outside of our house, once the flowers have gone, so to speak, we'll go out with a trowel and we'll remove the main part of the plant in any case. And that's something, as a child, I can remember doing with my own parents, that we would go out during the summer and we would remove the plants once the flowers had gone by. Not just us. You could look up and down the road and see all the people doing it. And I said this last time, I'm going to say it again. I think we've reached a point in time whereby we literally want councils to change our nappies. And I think that there are obviously some people that cannot get out and do this. And Portishead Town Council have set up a page on their site whereby you can get volunteers to come out and clear the front. So all this heads in the right direction towards removing these weed killers from the town, so to speak. But we're not there yet. Now, it comes on the back of there was a major meltdown on X, formerly known as Twitter, about the amount of weed killing going on in Bristol. Is always seemed to be quite an environmental city, so to speak. And no, a lot of the plants that people were loving have gone. And what happens in some of these situations is that you'll get a few people who will raise complaints, and you'll have the vast majority of the people who actually like to see the flowers. They like to see the bees hanging around the flowers as well. They like to see the insects, especially in a major urban area. It's completely different. You can understand that. So I think what we need to do is head towards a time whereby, as we generally agreed at that Weed Day, which was held by North Somerset Council, whereby we phase it out and we look for alternatives. Now, I asked today, I messaged Roger Whitcomb, who is chairman of Portishead Town Council today. I asked him to come on the show. Roger is also, did I say Roger? Roger Whitfield, sorry, who is Portishead Town Council chairman. And he also sits on the executive for North Somerset Council. Sadly, he couldn't be with us because he's in meetings till quite late this evening, but he has said he would like to come on the show in the future.
Excellent. Thank you, Roger.
But I've had this message, which he's allowed me to read out. So here we go. The current regime is to use weed killer in moderation around the area. There is a trial area in Portishead where weed killer is not being used, as was discussed at the Weed Day at North Somerset Council, though that must be St. Peter's Road. I'm aware of some privately owned, maintained areas are still spraying weed killer, but I can assure you that North Somerset is trying to find alternatives. However, at the moment, they haven't managed to agree on an overall strategy on weed killer free management. I would have loved to be on your show. However, I have meetings. So basically that's it. That's his statement. And thanks for that, Roger, because that was really useful. So I think, and I'll use my own words from that weed killer day, I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we've come a long way. We've come a long way from a flat no. Things are still happening that don't need to happen. And I think people themselves, if you object to this, it can't be just me and Jonathan saying it, or Jonathan and I saying it. It has to be you as well, because those that want weed killer to be used, they may be in the minority, but they've got very loud voices.
I was going to say, Chris, is
get the council to do things.
Because the use of the weed killer wagons, and we had one up my road just a couple of weeks ago, spraying along the side of wasn't spraying the gutters, it was just spraying the intersections between people's walls and the pavements. But that's North Somerset Council, isn't it? That's the district council. It's not the town council.
Yes. Definitely.
So all my alongside my wall, my Mexican fleabane that had self-seeded there, it's just a sorry brown mess now. So I might just go out there and bag it up and dispose of it, because everything just looks unsightly out there now. It looks more unsightly than if they just left it, but bizarre.
Well, I think there's many. I would have loved us to have Faith Moulin on tonight. Because she's got an awful lot to say about this, and she's from the Acton and Congsbury Wildlife Action Group. One of the things that Faith alerted me to, and I've looked at the government website on this, is what they call spray spill, where the fact is that they might be going up and down your road, but if it's windy, a lot of that spray is going in your garden.
Yep.
And I looked at the health and safety exec website today, and the hoops they've got to go through in order to do this. I mean, virtually the guys that are doing it have got to go out in almost like radiation suits. And that's fascinating, because if it's that darn dangerous that they've got to go through all those hoops in order to use it, spray is going across. What the heck is it doing to us?
I wish I'd taken a photograph last week, because the guy who was doing the spraying up my road was not dressed up in the space gear. Let's put it that way. He was literally kind of jeans and a t-shirt, and that was it. And I was too slow. I was in the middle of doing another task, and I saw this thing go past, and that was it. And I suddenly thought, was that a weed sprayer? And it was. So apparently they're only doing it once a year, but to my mind, once a year is too much. You know, I think
if we can get to the alternatives, we would have turned a massive corner, so to speak. I mean, what we don't know is what exactly they're using in there in terms of how diluted it is. I mean, it's certainly very effective, because everything outside my house is just died instantly. It's just dead.
I will, after the show, I will go out, or perhaps I'll do it first thing tomorrow morning, is I'll take some photographs just to show what it's like on my road. But ironically, there are plants along the route that the weed sprayer took, that they don't seem to have been affected by it, which is rather strange. But yeah, it is frustrating, and yeah, I think enough red flags have been raised about the use of weed killer, and it's not only for the harm it does to insects, but obviously the harm it can do to human beings. You know, there's I think you've highlighted the fact that in America there was a huge case about this, wasn't there?
And Australia,
and Australia. So yeah, we will. Again, folks, we will try and do what we can do, but if more people out there were to contact their councillors or write to the district council and just express their concerns about the fact that this is still being used. And shall we do something a bit more positive, Chris? Shall I run a video?
Go for it.
Let's run the video then. Hello everybody. Well, no mow May. And what have we been doing here? Well, no mowing, obviously. So what has popped up here on the top lawn as a result of no mow May? Well, have a look at this. Absolutely fabulous. And as if on cue, a bee turns up to take some nectar out of this fabulous plant that has self-seeded spontaneously. This is Cerinth, or honeywort, and well, as you can see, it's got these beautifully delicate blue tinged leaves and these absolutely fabulous purple flowers. Just brilliant. Look at that, look. We've also got the usual assortment of buttercups, but what absolutely beautiful flowers. And again, really quite useful for pollinators as well. So worth cultivating some in your garden. And this fern has just popped out of nowhere. Absolutely brilliant. It just lends the garden a lovely woodland feel. So this is a keeper, and again, this has just grown because we didn't mow the lawn. And what about this for an example of what happens when you don't mow the lawn quite so regularly? This is right by one of the posts that's used for hanging up the washing, but can you see what we've got down here? We've got wild strawberries growing. Isn't that fantastic? There's some more there as well by the Herb Robert. And this is one of my pots that I've allowed to grow rampant with Herb Robert. And you can just see what a fabulous display of colour you've got here with the red of the leaves and the stems, but also these beautifully delicate little pink flowers. There you go, Chris. No Mo May. Oops.
Excellent. Excellent.
No Mo May. And
now you've got to do No Mo June, No Mo July, No Mo August, and time to clear up in September.
There's going to be a little bit. I've got. You might have noticed where the ferns were. There is a little bit of rampant. I say a little bit. Quite a bit of rampant. Bindweed down there. So yeah, I need to get down there and just sort that out a bit. But here are some other highlights from the garden today, because this is stuff that so many people treat as weeds, and yet, you know, if you just look at them in a different way. Here is a good example, Chris. You know what this is. Valerian.
Yep. Incredibly important for pollinators.
There we go. There we go. This self-seeds in my garden and grows like topsy, but it is welcomed in my garden because just the variety of bees and butterflies I get on it. I'm getting free plants, for goodness sake. Why wouldn't I want to cultivate these? And the aforementioned Ceranth that has turned up on the upper lawn, again, I would be going out and buying seed and growing these out of choice. But, just beautiful coloration on them. And they are very good for butterflies. Again, there we've got a shot there showing those beautifully coloured leaves with the slightly kind of bluish purplish tinge to them. I've got to stop using absolutely. When I watch videos that I've done, I suddenly realise I have a very limited vocabulary. But it's just a brilliant plant. This was one I forgot to put on the video, but that is growing on my lawn, and it is silver ragwort, which I initially mistook for Cinerea. But Chris, I mean, I know some people don't like ragwort, but there are good reasons to cultivate it, aren't there?
Yeah, for instance, if you're down the high street and if they haven't sprayed yet, you'll probably see the early flowering ragwort, which is the Oxford ragwort, which I normally find around NatWest Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And there's almost like a trail of it which goes through the alleyway at NatWest Bank, right down towards the Folk Hall car park. And it's not a plant that you find everywhere, but it's absolutely covered again in pollinators. And obviously it's covered in caterpillars as well, which are important to feed some of the birds which live around there. If you take, for example, that even though you're in the middle of the high street, you've still got species like blue tit and great tit. They absolutely need those caterpillars right now, or else they aren't going to be successful.
No. And also silver ragwort, I'm just seeing if I can find a picture here, but it just has the most delicate little yellow flowers on them. Microscopic little things, almost look like kind of little heads of cauliflower. But yeah, so that was a find today. That's a keeper. That is, I'm going to be carefully cutting and mowing around those, because, like I say, it reminded me of kind of like Cinerea, of silverleaf, and that's what I thought it was initially. But yep. And also, this is another thing that has grown up in the lawn. It's a yellow band iris, and to the right of that is St. John's wort. Slightly cheating here, in as much as that's a plant that I bought a few years ago. It's just finding the right place in the garden for it. It's in a pot, but it will get dug in at some stage. I discovered last year that because it was in full sun, it was absolutely rampant. Yeah, when I when I came back off holiday last year, it had gone absolutely bananas. I moved it to a slightly wrong spot, and it didn't like it. So I've put it in a sunny spot. It's doing brilliantly now. So yeah, it will get dug in at some stage. But yeah, the yellow band iris as well is it's beautiful to look at, but I get bees and butterflies on it, and yeah.
I think it would have been interesting to have seen some pictures of your garden from the early spring, to see that transformation between the spring plants moving then into what's now more summer plants. Because it's I mean, some of the film that you showed us then, it was almost like looking at the edge of a woodland, so to speak, and almost taking time back in your garden to how things would have been in that particular area. But what it does show is what you can do, and you can still. We're not trying to be dogmatic and say that every single garden has to look like that in order to be successful. It doesn't. But if you just took a little bit of every garden and made it look like that, my goodness, what a difference you'd make in just one town.
Yeah. In fact, I'm just going to bear with. I'm just going to ping some images to my MacBook here. I don't know why I didn't send these ones. There we go. They're just pinging over now. Because these are shots of the garden. Sorry, as always, nothing wants to work. Here we go. So this is the lower lawn, and this is by the apple tree, by my apple trees. He rather laughingly refers to it as an orchard, but it's not really. But yeah, let's just see if we can get this image up. This is doing it on the fly. This is people. Right. Let's just come on. Present. Right. Share screen. Here we go. So this is the like I say, this is down towards the apple tree down the end of the garden, and yeah, that's now probably kind of ankle high in grass, but that's going to be left until the end of the month, and then I will mow that back a little bit, but I will leave quite a few areas untouched as well. So
hold on that picture there, because what's striking me straight away is that you've got birds in nests at the moment that are being fed. You've got a tremendous amount of really good quality leaf litter there, which will be harboring insects. So if you, for example, if you've got blue tits or great tits nesting in your garden now, what you'll see is those adults out literally combing through these leaves in order to pick up the insects that are in there that they can feed their babies. And this is the essential bit. We're talking about an insect apocalypse going on right at this very moment. So these are the places which are missing, not just from our urban areas, I've got to say, but also from the countryside.
Yeah, well, like I say, is what I will do is, and I'll probably talk to you about this as well, is just carefully kind of make sure I leave plenty of long grass there, but also just have a little bit of management. And this is the upper lawn as well by the rose arch. And what I'm going to be doing is once I've kind of like once I've mown the lawn and I can see all the bare patches. I did go out a few months ago and invested in some native seed as well. So those will be used to patch some of the areas of the lawn rather than using grass seed. And in time, I will then start to cultivate what I've got in the garden to actually kind of patch areas of the lawn as well. But that's a bit of a cheat, but that's going to give me a kind of like a head start really. And what have we got there? That's the area with the iris and the St. John's wort there, and that's where the pond is, and you can see the honeywort there to the left, and all the I keep wanting to call them daisies, buttercups, and there's that's the honeywort there as well. So yeah, I'm going to leave it till the end of the month, and then there's just going to be some careful some careful management of the garden. But it's been an easy month, Chris, because I've not had to really do anything. Well, and I hate mowing the lawn. I really do hate mowing the lawn. It's just
instead of stressing about gardens, go and enjoy them. Pour a glass of wine and go and sit in the garden. Enjoy the summer evening.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the buzzing insects and the birds flying around. Relax, chill out. You've had a hard day.
Well, here's another thing that I saw today, which was cuckoo spit. Now, it'd be interesting to know how many people watching the show tonight, if they went out into their gardens first thing in the morning, actually could see this on their plants and actually photograph and record it for us. According to the RHS, they have some interesting stuff to say about this. Its cuckoo spit is from the spittle bug, and it's produced by the nymphs of sap-sucking insects called froghoppers. It is harmless, and the insects that produce it are part of the biodiversity a healthy garden supports. So I know it looks like somebody's been kind of like gobbing in your garden, and to some extent it has. It's the froghopper that's been doing it, but it does actually serve a purpose, as do they. So it's worth tolerating it if you can kind of like get past that. It does look a little bit kind of gross, but I must, when I go out tomorrow morning, I must take some more photographs, because this is on my oh goodness me, what's the plant? Sage. My sage plant is absolutely covered in this. So yeah, I thought I'd put up some photographs of my sage, which is in flower at the moment. And again, sage is just absolutely brilliant for pollinators. Just going to see if I can ping up the picture here, Chris. Bear with. Talk amongst yourselves for a while. Yeah, I know. There we go. I think we've got the sage pick. Yeah, the sage, because where the sage is on my patio, it's right where my seating is, and so I will sit there and be kind of like reading and whatnot. Let me just get rid of this image here. Stop sharing. There we go. Yeah, I will be kind of having a read and whatever, but I will be surrounded by bees and butterflies, and it is just absolutely magical. It really is. There's the sage. Look at that. And in fact, there is a bee in the middle of the sage. So one of these days, I will actually use it for a culinary use. I will make vegetarian sage and onion sausages, but there we go. It's your own free wildlife show. Absolutely brilliant. So Chris, I think we are coming towards the end of the
You haven't
show.
finished. You haven't finished the list, mate.
What's the list then?
Next photograph.
Oh, the photographs, right. We haven't got any more photographs.
You should have.
You didn't send me any more. Oh, yes, we have. Yes. No, that was it. Just the poppies, and that was it.
What about the nest?
Oh, yes, sorry. That one there. Now, it looks to me like a blue tit, but you fill them in, Chris.
Yep. That is definitely a blue tit.
Uh-huh.
And basically started off with 6, now down to 3.
Oh dear.
If you, I'm talking to quite a few people who have got great tits and blue tits nests in their gardens, and it's quite interesting because everybody's basically saying the same thing, and that is that there's mass chick reduction in nests before fledging taking place, and again that points towards a very low insect response. So again, we're going through another year of this now. I'm emphasizing things which I've talked about before, but they're incredibly important, and that is that these birds are not long-lived. If they're not producing enough to replace themselves as adults, there's only one way in which the population's going to go, and that is down quite dramatically. And so I think Roger Weeks highlighted the fact, something that I highlighted back in the year 2020, sorry, during lockdown, was the fact of where are the greenfinches, where are the chaffinches, and linnets also have been disappearing, and all of this is linked perfectly. Even though we're talking about some of these being seed feeders, this is linked to the fact that they need to rear their young on insects, and that's a massive problem. And also, before we go, we should announce that next year we will be doing, hopefully with the cooperation of Portishead Town Council, Portishead will be doing a major Swift project within the town. So people, please get on board and help us.
Yeah.
Can I do a big shout out for an initiative in Clevedon?
Of course you can.
Yep. Councillor Luke Smith is trying to turn Penny Fields, which is in Clevedon, and has been taken off of North Somerset's development list, but he's trying to get Penny Fields in Clevedon to be protected, making it a local green space, which will give it the additional protection that it needs. He's got a petition going on at the moment through change.org, if everybody can go and help him out. This is hands across the district, so to speak, helping out other people.
Here we go.
Give Councillor Luke Smith a shout there and give him some help. He's got 15 signatures on there. He needs a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, there we go. We'll put we'll share the link onto our Wild Portishead pages, so that hopefully by highlighting this tonight, he'll get some more support. It's very similar to obviously what has happened locally here with Slade Road. In as much as that's been taken off the development list, but we need to, we're not doing anything with it at the moment because the advice we've given is, let it do its thing for the summer during the breeding season, and then we'll have a look at it in the autumn. So so we need to do something with that as well. But yes, we will put up a link on the Facebook pages. Here we go. Dave White says, forgot to ask, any progress on Slade Road school site? Yeah, we are trying to progress it, Dave. So but we're, like I say, we've suggested to them at the moment is just hands off, let the field do its own thing during the summer, then we can come back and have a look at it in the autumn once the breeding season is over. But I think ideally one of the projects that we've kind of mooted is to have a big community orchard down there on the bottom of the slope, which would be perfect because that's where all the runoff water kind of collects. So yep, and also I just want to just bear with. I want to
let me do that additional shout out then to anybody who's watching this who is a member of a political party and can get a message to the prospective candidate for the general election for North Somerset on July the 4th. If they want to come on the show and they want to talk about what they feel about the natural environment locally and what they can bring, do contact us.
Yep.
You can do that through Facebook, DM us, or PM us, whatever it is called these days.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you on the show, and I think what we should be doing is certainly stepping up before the general election, a few more shows where we can host people if they want to come on. Actually have us not take them to task, but have that conversation, which I think is going to be very important. If you look at what's going on with water at the moment, I think I know most of the big politicians are saying environment is down in terms of priority. I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be up.
No.
And I think they need to take note. But it would be brilliant to hear from all of the candidates, if possible, coming up through. We've had some likes. Did I get likes for saying that?
I think you got a couple of likes there, Chris. Yeah, absolutely.
I did.
Absolutely.
If you're a member of a political party, please get that message to them, and the invitation is open.
Yeah, no, we will talk to anybody and everybody. So environment is paramount. Just going to say, we did the show, the last show, we were talking about the trail cams, and here are this is my trail cam that I put on the path. I've got several set up in the garden now, and I'm no longer putting, now that we're out of the colder weather, I'm no longer putting any of the proprietary hedgehog food out. They can munch on slugs and snails from this point on. But the most important thing I've put out there is clean water every night, which is used by the hog and also used by the badgers. And
well, is it clean?
Well, very good. It's fresh out of the tap, Chris. That's all I can say.
Give Fergal Sharkey a ring.
On that note, I just want to say thank you to Chris for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. As I say, you can contact us through our Facebook pages, message us, ping us, put something on our walls, and you can also email us at wildportishead@gmail.com. So perhaps we will do another show in a couple of weeks' time, Chris, because as you say,
let's see what response we get from the prospective candidates.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can rock and roll whenever, can't we?
Absolutely, yeah. So on that note, just to say thank you to Chris, thank you to everybody watching tonight, and we will see you very, very soon. So until then, bye for now.
Wildlife watching.